not going to pay electricity for 2 months or 3 months, please. Nothing came out of that resolution. And this is just one of the many resolutions of the House. You passed countless resolutions and there are no actions. Why do you pass resolutions? Is it just to entertain the public to give the impression that the House is working? Or you pass them because you want actions?
No.
Sorry.
Let me take this. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, distinguished friends and colleagues, fellow reporters. I would like to say very quickly that resolutions remain one of the legislative tools in processes that makes for good governance. The resolution is not a law. It is an expression of a desire and a tool of the legislature in expressing the desire of the people of Nigeria through their representative on issues that have been brought to the attention of members or the parliament. So when a resolution is passed and sent to the executive implementing agency, the resolution is not a law. It is not a law. So it is that's why we also have as a committee that is now set up to follow up. But it's not as if it is automatic that when you pass a resolution, it becomes a law and that thing must be done. No, that is a communication of the situation or what the desire of the people to the executive, and to also ensure that they understand it and implement it. So to the best of the abilities of the House, we will continue to pass resolutions as to the desires of the people. It is left for the executive to implement those resolutions and desires of the people. You will not hit them or beat them, but you will also push to ensure that those things are done.
Thank you. Thank you. As a rider to that, excuse me, as a rider to that, it is important to note that in the normal setting, executives use of resolution as a torchlight to guide them in the formulation of their policies and programs. Resolutions are supposed to reflect, because we say in democracy, it is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, if the people element must be carried along in the process of policy formulation, programs, and implementation, it then means that there must be a feedback mechanism, which in this case, in the 3 tiers of government, the easiest people-oriented feedback mechanism that is in place is the parliament, through the constituencies, who will come back and say to the government, through their representative, kindly represent to the government of the day that we don't want to pay this amount of multiple taxation. So when we get to the House, there are 2 things open to us. 1, motions. Another is through laws, bills. So when we make laws, we activate them and give them teeth to punish those who go against it. When we make resolutions, we push it to the executive for implementation. But recently, there has been this debate that is ongoing, that it is high time the legislative arm make their resolution to have a little bit of force of law to achieve better implementation. And yes, it is not a drama. Resolutions are not dramas. Resolutions are there to guide the government to perform for the people. I think that is it on that. Does somebody want to say something on that?
No.
Yes, follow. Sorry. Talking about resolutions.
Last question from
Yesterday, Honorable Awanta and the leader of the House clashed somewhere when Honorable Awanta said that the lawmakers that took less control, that over 100 resolutions have been passed, given to the executive for implementation. Now, today, the House also took a resolution inviting and summoning the president to appear before them. I want you to specifically tell Nigerians what will happen if Mr. President fails to appear. Because in the last assembly, 8th assembly, At the time, the House said no. They went on hunger strike, I remember. And they also had invited the president. The president didn't come. So if the president this time around fails to come, what would the House do? Thank you.
Still on resolution, I think that was a very good question. I'm not aware of the interaction between the leader of the House and Aponta yesterday, but today I've been briefed on what happened in the House, the resolution, the newest resolution. But you see, these resolutions are not supposed to, in discussing resolution, it wasn't only inviting Mr. President was what was resolved. What was resolved today also included asking Mr. President to declare a state of emergency on security. And to me, that is more important. Declaring a state of emergency on security is more important concerning what we intend to achieve. And what is it that we intend to achieve? We want to give Mr. President that leeway to be able to use other sources, other mechanisms to solve the security problem of this country. For example, unless there is a declaration of state of emergency on security, Mr. President's hand will be tied to do what the former president Jonathan did, which was asking for external help, bringing in external help, mercenaries and all the rest of them to make sure we fight to clear the issue of security. The Constitution would not allow Mr. President to act in this direction. And that was why, through legislative intervention, that to tell you that resolutions are not dramas. They are the open doors that invite the executive to formulate policies and take positions that will help them achieve the desires of Nigerians. What we have done today, which Nigerians need to celebrate, is that we have tied our mindset, we have tied our resolution with that of the northern governors who have asked. In fact, the person that is leading that call has been the governor of Yobe State, who has asked that the state of emergency be declared on security. And that is the wishes of most of the northern state governors. And today, the entire House of Representatives, which means 360 representatives, join constituencies, join the northern governors to say, Mr. President, it is high time you declare a state of emergency on security, because that might be a strategic tool that will help you quell the menace of this insurgency in the country. That is what we should be celebrating today. The invitation that the House gave to Mr. President is not as important. It's important, yes, but you cannot compare that to the declaration of a state of emergency, which will help the nation to achieve what they want to achieve. Wait. Is it in order to invite Mr. President? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Is Mr. President answerable to the Parliament? The answer is yes. And that is the wish of the people. Is the Parliament on the side of the people? Is the people's Parliament? We are on the side of the people. If the people are saying that the President of the Republic should answer to the Parliament, which means answer to Nigerians, that call is in order. The President has been invited so many times, like you know, but he was invited by those who were in warfare with him. And some of those. No. It's important to notice. Remember, the people who invited the president before were the ones who held his budget for 6 months. And then you hold the budget of a man 6 months, and then you invite him and you expect him to come. You want him to answer questions on issues you're supposed to use the money that you're supposed to appropriate when you are holding the money and you're inviting him. I mean, let's be practical. But this assembly has not held the budget of Mr. President. We have given Mr. President his budget in good time. So he has no reason not to oblige the request of Nigerian people if they invite him. But having said that, what I am saying is that we are looking at solutions. If he comes, if he visits us and we interact with him, the question will become again, the question you will ask me from the other side is, after the visit of Mr. President, what next? Okay, he walks into the door, we interact with him. Has that stopped the killing in the north? He just walked into the parliament. Okay, we have invited him, you come, walk into the parliament, answer the parliament. Has that ended the insurgency? No. He will come. But beyond the comment of Mr. President, what we are saying today is that the House has equipped Mr. President with the mandate to declare, with the support to declare, with the access, with the window to declare a state of emergency on security. And that will allow him to use other strategic tools without excuse. Thank you.
Follow. Please, one. Please, last question. Last question.
Last question. When the president comes, will it be closed door or open door?
Last question.
Last question. Excuse me. Listen, after this, I'll take one more question and that is all. After this, my friend has been asking, wanted to ask question. After this, I'll take his question. He has been raising his hand. In all fairness. He asked a question, he said, is it going to be a closed door or an open door when the president visits? You see, it is the House that regulates itself. That is found in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I think it's in section 60. We regulate how we conduct our affairs. It is in the wisdom of the leadership to decide whether it is going to be open or whether it is going to be closed. But whether it is closed or open, what is most important is that there is an interaction between the parliament and the president. So that should not bother you much at the moment. Let me take your last question.
Yes, my question is that this House,
President of the House is talking about the
it's moral
security.
I didn't hear that.
moral
That the House has just
you have been trying to like
president to carry out state
take a
of
departure
emergency.
from previous assemblies.
President has been ordered
Try to be
or been
people
advised by
conscious
the House of Rep
and the
for
traffic.
state of
We
emergency.
acknowledge all that.
State of emergency.
And I think
And the north.
in line with that,
Or in the
Nigerians want to know why a member who was convicted 4 years ago, one of your members, Victor Mela from Gombe State, who was convicted by a court in the FCT 4 days ago, is still here attending functions when the House should politely ask him,
Please, no side talk.
when the House should politely ask him to step aside and face the law. I'm surprised that the same person has been attending meetings, asking questions, facing agencies of government questions and all that. I mean, that would also rub off on the integrity of the House, because if a head of an agency who reads newspapers finds that a member who was just 4 days ago is trying to drill some answers for him, he might sir, why am I even here?
Okay.
So I
think I get your question.
So I just want to know what the House is going to do about.
All right.
this
Let me answer you. Let me answer you. I'm quite aware of the situation of Victor Mela,
Yes.
who was convicted by a lower court of jurisdiction. And you are aware that we have hierarchy of courts in our democracy. And you are aware that the principle of natural justice, which one of them upholds a principle known as or the other party, Latin Martin that says all the other party, which is let both parties be heard, accords to anyone that is supposedly convicted the right to be heard. And that right is not exercised only at the end of a conviction by a court of the lower jurisdiction. The question becomes, does he have an appealable right? Does he have the right to appeal? The answer is yes. And if the answer is yes, has that right been so exercised? If the answer is yes, what is the outcome of such exercise rights? If it has not been exercised, the question becomes, is it not an injustice? Is it not unfair to condemn a man that has not been condemned by the hierarchy of courts? And the matter is only decided res judicata, that is given a final burial when it is decided by the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, Victor Mela remains a member of the House until the matter is discharged by all the appellate courts available to him in the exercise of his right to be fairly heard. Until then, he has not been removed from the House. And anything we do now will be sub judice, because we are aware he has approached the Court of Appeal on that issue. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
that's the statement from the spokesperson of House of Representatives. If that happens to an ordinary man, I don't know whether the same application of law will be applied to an ordinary man. But now to the end from GTV Africa. Thank you so much for your time.
Give one house.
That one.